Raise your hand if you ever stopped yourself from doing something because you were afraid of how you would look. Okay. Yeah, I've done that too, countless times. We young people are under this constant pressure to fit in, to say the right things, do the right things, trying to look cool. Trying to look cool is something teens have struggled with for decades, but now acting cool has turned into acting unbothered, or, as the Gen Z call it, acting nonchalant. Acting nonchalant, for those of you who don't know, is when you show indifference, hiding the fact that you actually care. It's like when you know the answer in class, but you don't raise your hand, because no one needs to know that you actually care enough to participate. Or it's when you stay up all night fascinated by how one tiny thing you eat can trigger bacteria in your gut to send messages to your brain that shift the way you think, your mood. But when someone asks if you like science, you say, "It's all right." Nonchalance is now considered trendy, idolized by social media. In reality, it's a form of protection. If you act like you don't care, then you can't be judged for caring. And if you act like you don't try, then failure isn't embarrassing. Studies have shown that social rejection activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain. For our ancestors, this made sense. If you lost access to the group, you'd lose access to resources, protection, your survival. Today, that same instinct still drives us. However, ironically, in trying to fit in by acting nonchalant, we end up pushing people away because we're not showing vulnerability. But I'm not here to talk to you about that. I believe nonchalance isn't just limiting our human connection, but it's stopping our society as a whole from progressing. And how does it do that? Well, first, let me tell you a story. 3 years ago, a friend and I participated in a science competition. We were just a couple of grade 9s interested in science, and we thought it would be fun, a good challenge. Let's just say we did not do so well. But being there, I learned that there are so many more competitions and opportunities to explore science here in Switzerland, which I eagerly pursued. And I wouldn't have known about them if I hadn't done it. Anyways, the next year we tried the competition again. And by experience or luck, we came second. But that meant finding out a lot of information about the competition, coordinating our own lab space, and even learning how to do research all by ourselves. It made me realize that there are incredible opportunities out there, but very little support and awareness for students who wanted to explore them. So together, my friend and I decided to form a science club at our school to make such opportunities more accessible. During the initial weeks of launching the club, some of my classmates weren't very supportive. They doubted the idea, mocking it, saying, "Oh, it's the science club." I remember feeling embarrassed. I didn't want to be perceived as nerdy or uncool. I thought to myself, would people even want to join the club? Are all my efforts going to waste? But there was one moment when I realized something. I had been focusing so much on what people outside the club thought of, people who didn't even have an interest in science thought about, that I had completely overlooked the impact we were having on those in the club. Despite being a small group of students, they were curious, excited, and finally had a place to explore what they loved. And that was worth far more than the judgment of people who weren't even part of the journey. As we stood for that interest in science, the club grew and then really took off, inspiring more students to explore their interests. Our members participated in several competitions, and here are some highlights. Winning second place at the Swiss Young Naturalist Tournament, passing through the next round of several Swiss Olympiads, and even a group of students making it to the European finals for the Science Bee. Thank you. This experience made me realize that pursuing what you care about takes courage, and not everyone will be supportive. But you will find people who also share your same interest, and it can create such a positive chain reaction. If I had let the judgment of others and the pressure to be cool or nonchalant stop me, if I had acted nonchalant about my interest in science, I could have missed out on some of the most meaningful experiences I've had. And so would the students who benefited from the club. But my story is small. What happens when the stakes are bigger? Do you think Greta Thunberg could have sparked a global movement if she was worried about looking nonchalant? Or how about Malala and her fight for girls' education? If she had stayed silent, thousands of girls may not have had the rights that they have today. Somehow, showing that you care has been framed as weak or naive. And yet, ironically, every problem we face, from climate change to loneliness, is a problem of caring. Too often, we hold back the very ideas that could bring our communities forward. Not because they're bad, but because we're afraid of how we would look. So, if you have an idea, if you have something that you care about, act on it. Maybe it's something small. Maybe you really like caterpillars and think the world deserves to know more about them. Or maybe you see something in your schools, in your communities, something that is a problem that needs fixing or something that could be improved. I encourage you to act on it. You may not get the support from everyone, but showing that you care, putting yourself out there, is how you find your people and start creating change. Because change doesn't start with being nonchalant. It starts with daring to care. So, let me ask you, what if we made caring cool again?